Alright, testing audio, testing movement. Testing again. Can you hear anything now? Testing, testing. Okay, great. Hello everyone. This is Gundam Ace, aka John Hooper. And I'm here in my streaming of Rebellion Secret Game Second Stage. Last time we finished off Episode C, Code Revised, which, needless to say, did not really end well for most people. Despite the players' attempts to try to survive without killing anyone. But now we have unlocked the final route of the main story, Episode D, Decoded Real. I mentioned this at the end of last time too, but Decoded Real is different from normal routes. It's fairly short, and its nature is a bit different from the other ones. You'll see what I mean once we get started, more or less. After we finished Episode D, Decoded Real, the plan is to move on to the PC version of Rebellions, which has an additional route in it. It's not quite the same as Secret Game's additional route in nature, but you'll see how that goes out too. But yeah, we'll be doing that after this. Without further ado, let's begin Episode D. He had a dream. A foggy memory from long ago that he could not place. Giant hands stroked Shuhei and Haruna's hair. Haruna smiled tranquilly. And Shuhei didn't hate the hand either. But suddenly, heat vanished from the palms and grew as cold as ice. The blood of a murderer, huh? I pray that cursed blood isn't flowing through your veins as well. Shuhei and Haruna responded in surprise to those words. He didn't remember what they said. He didn't remember what the answer was about. It seems that blood is flowing through me. After all, I felt nothing when it happened. I accept my sin. I have to do whatever I can in order to make up for it. That's what I've chosen. See, that's right, isn't it? In that case, what will you do? What way of life will you choose? The dream ended there. In his slumber, he chased the The conversation and words that were exchanged then was driven away to a corner of his heart. For it was nothing more than a dream. And just when he thought that, the sound of birds making a clamor echoed from somewhere. Day 1. That sounded like a deaf whale. He rubbed his eyes and got up. His eyes slowly opened up. He looked around and spoke up in an empty voice. Huh? And then Shuhei Fujita awoke and the game began. A little while afterwards, Yuna Todo woke up as well. Being a repeater, she was given the order to spend 24 hours or more with player number 4, and so she met Shuhei. Hey, you're one of the players who've been forced to play this game, right? Yeah. Does that mean you're the same? Yep, my name's Yuna Todo. I'm Shuhei Fujita. Their encounter would change the game's direction in an enormous way. Yuna tried to unite all the players in the game. She intended to try to end the game without a single casualty, and before it could ever switch into the second stage. Though that was by no means an easy path. For things have been set up so all the players in the game would be hostile toward one another. Tsukasa Mitsubayashi, who didn't trust others and tried to use them as pawns. Daisuke Ito, who simply played along with the game to his own whims. The antagonism between Masaki Kurokawa and Akinori Majima. And Hitomi Kasuya, who blindly believed in Shuhei and rejected everything else. All of them were nothing more than factors meant to bring the game to the second stage. And as a result, violence and hostilities broke out all across the field. The weak were threatened by the strong. It was a barbaric world where life held on the edge of a cliff. Furthermore, there were the pawns that the administrators had mixed in amongst the players in order to promote conflict with each other. It was extremely difficult to trust others and protect all the players without anyone dying in that situation. In that case, protecting those who were important to you, even if it meant cutting off others, was the wise choice. Whether that was right or wrong, at the very least, it was what Shuhei believed. For he had someone irreplaceable to him who made him want to think that way. Kotomi Fukishi, the girl who'd been with Shuhei ever since they were young. His friend since childhood, who gave them hope and warmth, back when he was living all alone, hating the world. Were he to lose her, it was likely he wouldn't be able to stay sane. It was because he believed that Shuhei rejected Yuna. I'm not trying to become a hero or anything. As long as I can protect Kotomi, that's all that matters. Yuna answered when he gave that clear declaration.
それってかっこよさげなセリフだけど、はっきり言って強量よ。男ならヒーローを目指してほしいわね。
That's a cool line and all that, but to be blunt, it's very narrow-minded. All boys want to be heroes, right? That was her belief. What she'd inherited from the boy she loved and killed with her own hands. So she decided to return to this game out of her own will, out of a desire to live proudly for his sake. But her past sins and... Wait, sorry, one second. But her past sin formed a cruel roadblock to her objective. For the sister of the boy Yuna had killed, had been thrown into this game in order to avenge her brother. I know it! That girl's the one who killed Akira, no mistake about it! The proof of that is that she's continuing to look away from me. Yuna couldn't answer those words, for the rules didn't allow her to answer. That was why Shuhei also couldn't completely trust in Yuna. And so, with them being unable to trust her, he left the area with her. Yuna was an enemy Rei should hate. No, sorry. Yuna was supposed to be an enemy Rei should hate. With someone who hated her so much out there, could she really unite all the players? She worried about that when that night, Shuhei asked her a question. What do you believe the conditions for being a hero are? And her answer was,
理不尽に屈しないもの、そして理不尽にさらされているものを救うこと。それが私の中にあるヒーローの条件よ。
Those who don't give in to injustice, and those who save those who are subject to who suffer from injustice. That's what I believe the conditions of a hero to be.
そしてそのために私はここにいる。だから私は絶対に信念を曲げたりしない。
And that's why I'm here right now. So my beliefs won't be distorted.
どんなことがあったって私の目的はただ一つ。あくまでプレイヤー全員の生存よ。
No matter what happens, I have but one goal: to ensure survival of all the players. Nothing more, nothing less. Even after hearing that, Shuhei still couldn't completely trust her. But in order for Yuna to prove that, she put her own life on the line and challenged Rei. The battle ended with Yuna's defeat. But the fires of hatred vanished from Rei when she saw what Yuna did. And when Shuhei himself saw that, he slowly but surely began to change as well. He too was finally resolved to save everyone in this game, just like Yuna. After that, Shuhei took Yuna's place in taking the lead due to her injuries. First, they stopped Kurokawa, who was attacking Majima and Mariko. Furthermore, he reunited and saved his long-lost sister Haruna. As a result, Hitomi fell into confusion and instability due to her injuring Shuhei. But then she was saved by Kotomi and regained her original soul. And so was the 14 players still had a lot of issues to deal with, but by the third day of the game, they were finally united. And there was someone who watched all that unfold. Through a monitor far away, in a location far away from the game's field. Through the surveillance cameras set up on the field, and the CCD cameras built into their collars in order to observe their conflict. Those were sent to the man's location. What an unexpected turn of events. The man muttered to himself in that room surrounded by monitors. He was both the game master and dealer of this game. He selected the players, regulated the flow of events for the game, hold on a second. And occasionally riled up the customers of the customers watching this game as a host. He was the intermediary between the game and the customers, who held absolute control over Shuhei and the others. But even to him, a fervent game master, the turn of events in this game were extremely unusual. All 14 players had united in the first stage, and were aiming to win together. That never happened once to the man's knowledge. Perhaps it was a mistake putting player number 4 and the Jack together. It seemed they managed to turn the strategy they cooked up in order to make the game more exciting against them. You could hear the customers muttering from the monitors lining the walls. Well, this is quite unusual. How will things unfold from now? It won't be any fun at all if things stay like this. Well, this is the Game Master's chance to show us what he's got. All the customers who said that were wealthy people who longed for all sorts of entertainment the highest form of entertainment in this world. What was happening in the game wasn't only being streamed to the surveillance room the man was in. They're also being broadcast real time to a luxurious cruise ship far away from the game field. The customers help themselves to all sorts of gambling on that ship. And the grace and the hold on a second. And the jewel in the crown of the entertainment was the game. A continuously unfolding, unpredictable movie that spanned over the course of a long cruise trip. Naturally, they gambled on which players would live and which would die, and bet lots of money on who they predicted would be the winners. It was the greatest it was the greatest game there was for customers who were bored of normal forms of entertainment. When the man heard the voices of the customers watching over the proceedings, he gave a wry smile. I see. It seems these customers don't wish for a sappy conclusion where everyone gets along and wins the game together. They may give on an air of being upper class, but in the end, they're all bloodthirsty. But it's my job to live up to their requests. Now's a chance to show off my skills. The man thought of ways to make the game more exciting from this situation. After quickly coming up with a way, he took the microphone to his hands, faced the customers on the monitors, and spoke. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a different turn of events from usual has unfolded. I take it there are plenty of you who fear that this game may rapidly turn into a rather boring affair from here on out. But please rest assured, I will never by any means let you customers get bored. What do you mean? Have you come up with an idea to make this game even more interesting? Yes, of course. First, we will allow them to drown themselves in peace for a while and deepen their bonds with each other. And then in the near future, we'll throw them into the second stage. What do you think of that? They'll kill each other with even deeper bonds than people in most games? That's right. An even more gripping human drama than a typical second stage shall unfold. I say. Does that mean it was never allowed from the very start for the game to end in the first stage? Indeed, sometimes a tragedy is set in stone from the start.
一時の平穏があってこそ、その後の惨劇もまた際立つ。光が強ければ闇はより深くなる。
A temporary peace means the tragedy that happens afterwards strikes even harder. The stronger the light, the darker the deeper the darkness becomes.
その惨劇の日が訪れるまで、彼らには束の間の安息を楽しんでもらうこととしましょう。
Let us allow them to enjoy a modicum of peace before the days leading up to before the day the tragedy comes. After the man said that in a reverent voice, the customers all cheered.
いや、なるほど。今後の展開が楽しみになってきましたな。
Ah, I see. I'm looking forward to how things turn out.
さすが、あの手この手で楽しませてくれるわね。
Yes, even this way comes with its own entertainment.
だからこのゲームの鑑賞はやめられないのですよ。
That's why I can't get enough of this game. The man smiled while listening to all that. Now, what will you do, players? The tragedy is already beginning. The man still didn't know when the players would realize that. Until then, take it easy and wait. And deep in his heart of hearts, a thought came to the man. No, that's what he thought in his heart of hearts. In the days that followed, the players enjoy a tranquil days of peace. Those who could fulfill their clear conditions did so. They got rid of all the weapons. Tried to secure food, and forged a path towards a guaranteed victory in this game. The administrator quietly watched over it all while knowing this peace wouldn't last long. And then, when at the start of the 6th day, when a normal game would notify the end was soon, Shuhei, Yuna, and Haruna realized something was wrong when the game, about the game not ending, spoke to the administrator. Day 6.
聞こえるか、運営。返事をしてくれ。
Can you hear me, administrator? Answer me.
ゲームの内容に関して確認したいことがあるんだ。
There's something I want to check about the details of the game. That voice came in through the monitor. Shuhei, Yuna, and Haruna stood with anxious expressions on the other side of the monitor in the Central Control Facility's meeting room.
ようやく状況に気づいた。
Finally realized the situation, huh? The man muttered that, took the microphone to his hands, and spoke to the three of them.
はい、なんでしょう。
Yes? What is it?
あんたは確かこのゲームの終了時間は24時間前に通知すると言っていたよな。
If I remember right, you said this game's end time will be announced 24 hours in advance, didn't you?
だったらどうして今日の午前0時に何の通知も来なかったんだ。
Then why did we receive no such notice at midnight today?
ゲームの開催期間はいつも6日間だったはずなんじゃないのか。
Shouldn't the game's length normally be 6 days? It was a question the administrator had been expecting. He coolly gave the answer he'd prepared.
いいえ、初日にもご説明しましたが、ゲーム開催期間についてはプレイヤーに伝えることはいたしております。
No. As I explained on the first day, the players are not informed of the length of the game.
だが
But
もしあなたがそのことに確証を得ているのでしたら、特定のプレイヤーが重大なルール違反を犯したことになります。
if you happen to be absolutely sure of that, then wouldn't that mean a certain player has broken a very important rule? Shuhei shut up at the man's retort. After a little back and forth, Shuhei's shoulders dropped.
分かったよ運営。お前たちはせいぜいそこから俺たちを見ていればいい。
Fine, Administrator. You guys go on, just watch us from there.
ゲームの進行は俺たちが勝手に行う。
We'll control how this game goes.
はい、ご検討を期待しております。
Yes. Good luck today. Good luck to you. The administrator called out to Shuhei and the others as they left the conference room. Before long, they shut the door. And then and then the customers on different monitors spoke up.
あら、6日目にしてようやく動きが見えてきたみたいよ。
Oh, it looks like things have suddenly begun to... sorry, but let me try that again. Oh my! Looks like things are finally getting rolling again on the 6th day.
プレイヤーたちの仲も深まったところでいよいよ本番の始まりといったところですか。
Now the players have forged deep bonds with each other. It's time for the main show to begin soon. Now there had been a new development in this game which had stood still for the last few days. They were beginning to show attention again, it seemed. The man took the microphone into his hand and spoke to the customers.
さて皆様、大変長らくお待たせいたしました。
Now then, ladies and gentlemen, I understand we have kept you waiting for quite a while.
ファーストステージのままゲームを終わらせることはできない。ルールに隠された罠に彼らも気づいたようです。
The game cannot be brought to an end while in the first stage. They have realized the hidden trap in the rules.
ここからゲームはどう動くのか。またしても目が離せなくなってまいりましたね。
How will the game unfold from here on out? You'll just have to keep your eyes peeled.
そうね。これから本当にどうなるのかしら。
You're right. I have no idea how it's going to turn out from here.
誰かが死ななければゲームが終わらないというのなら、いずれは互いに殺意を抱くようになるのではないかね。
Well, if the game won't end until someone dies, then they'll start eventually showing intent to kill one another, will they not? The man reverently answered their voices.
確かにその可能性は高いですね。現状、彼らの平穏は薄氷の上にあります。
That possibility is indeed high. At the present, their peace hangs on top of thin ice.
脱出不可能な状況、不安定な食料事情、互いに残っているわだかまり。
And a situation that's impossible to escape. The uncertain food situation. Grudges that still exist between some of them.
プレイヤーナンバー8、黒川正樹やナンバー10、伊藤大輔を筆頭に火種となるプレイヤーもおります。
Player number 8. Sorry, hold on. There's also player number 8, Masuke Kurokawa, and player number 10, Daisuke Ito, who hold the potential to take lead and light the spark on the powder keg.
いずれ何らかのきっかけがあれば彼らは共に殺し合う。それはおそらく間違いないでしょうが。
By some turn of events or another, they will kill each other. There's almost little doubt of that. However,
それをただ待ち続けるのも芸がないとは思いませんか？
do you not believe it would merely be boring to keep waiting for that?
何？どういうことかね。
Sorry, I mean too simple is more than I meant. Huh? What are you talking about?
彼らの平穏にタイムリミットを与えようということですよ。
I'm talking about putting a time limit on their peace.
猶予は今日から3日間。それまでに彼らが自発的に殺人を犯し、セカンドステージが始まればそれもよし。
We'll give them an extension of 3 days from now. Oh, if they start killing, if someone kills someone by then, and the second stage begins, then all is well.
しかしそれが始まらなかった際は、我々がゲームに介入し、強制的にセカンドステージに移行させようというわけです。
But even if that doesn't happen, we will intervene in the game and force the second stage to begin.
強制的に？まさか何らかの部隊を投入しプレイヤーを殺すというの？
Force it? You're not going to send some unit in and to kill the players, are you?
いいえいいえ。あくまで手を下すのはプレイヤーです。我らはその背を少しだけ押してあげるだけです。
Oh, no, no, no. It'll be the players who do that. We'll just give them a little pat on the back, that's all.
例えば、特定のプレイヤーを殺害しなければ、全員の首輪を爆破するというメールを秘密裏に送るという形でね。
For example, we could secretly send an email to a certain player. No, sorry, we could secretly send an email that says that if they do not kill specified player or players, everyone's cars will detonate. Shouts of excitement followed.
なるほど。それならば互いに疑心暗鬼が生じ、殺し合いにも発展しそうですな。
I see. In that case, they'll all start doubting one another. And it will likely spark off mutual killing of one another.
素晴らしいわ。今から楽しみ。
How wonderful! I'm looking forward to it.
してその殺されるべきプレイヤーというのはどのように選ばれるのかね。
So tell me, how will the player that is to be killed? So how will the player that is to be killed be chosen?
まず現在より72時間締め切っていた賭けを一時的に再開いたします。
First things first. For the next 72 hours, we will be temporarily resuming bets.
皆様、どのプレイヤーが勝利するか予想し、改めておかけくださいませ。
We ask that all of you please bet again on who you predict what player will win the game by then. Yep, it's the bet system all over again.
そして72時間後に最も賭け金の少なかった不人気なプレイヤーは
And the most unpopular player with the lowest amount of money bet on them after 72 hours
あえなく他プレイヤーの手で葬られることになります。
will be killed by another player.
どのプレイヤーが死にセカンドステージが始まるのか、それを決めるのはお客様方です。
What player will be sacrificed to begin the second stage? It is you, ladies and gentlemen, who shall determine that.
題してエクストラゲーム。殺されるのは誰にしよう。
I hereby dub this extra game, Who Will Die?
ちなみに殺害対象に選ばれたプレイヤーにおかけくださったお客様には掛け金をご返却しますのでどうぞご安心。
Incidentally, those who bet on the player that will be chosen will have their bets refunded to them, so please rest assured.
さあ皆様、ふるってご参加くださいませ。
Now then, ladies and gentlemen, go forth and make your choice. And with that voice, the malicious game continued in the background. Before long, the odds showed up on another... The constantly fluctuating odds showed up on another monitor. This game was being broadcast to places other than the luxury cruise ship. Those who had purchased a special client software could watch and bet on the game via network. Those customers from all over the world were all sending in their bets. The man smiled when he saw the rapidly fluctuating odds.
ほう。ゲーム開始前のオッズとは随分違った結果になりそうだな。
These odds sure are considerably different than before the game began. The bets taken before the game largely favored the victor to be Hitomi Kasuya, followed by Haruna Hosotani. Following them were Yuna Todo, Tsukasa Mitsubayashi, Shuhei Fujita, and Masaki Kurokawa. Those bets have been made based on the customers' predictions from the player profile data that they released to the customers before the game began. But it seemed after observing how the game had progressed up until now, their predictions had changed greatly. First of all, Hitomi Kasuya's popularity had rapidly fallen, most likely due to her, most likely considering her mental instability at the moment. On the other hand, Rei Makioka's popularity had rapidly risen. She managed to ward off a gun-wielding player with a sword, and so it seemed that her surprising sword skills were quite well received. Also, Daisuke Ito, who had been rather unremarkable before, popularity had also risen. It seemed that his the reveal of his complete lack of morals was in fact gave him a good impression amongst the customers. All the other players had also been revalued here and there, resulting in the odds changing. But even so, there were unpopular players whose positions hadn't changed all that much. Sorry, there was a unpopular player whose position hadn't changed all that much. A rather ordinary girl who had nothing particularly notable about her compared to the other players. A player barely anyone expected to survive.
プレイヤーナンバー5、荻原優
Player
香。やはり殺されるのはこいつで決まりか。
Player number 5, Yu Ogihara, huh? Perhaps she'll be the one to be killed after all. But it wasn't he who would make that decision. It was the customers and fate. And then, just as the man quietly decides to wait for the results, a voice suddenly flew out of a speaker in the room.
今回もうまくゲームを運んでいるようだね。
You seem to be doing a good job of running the game this time as well.
は、恐縮です。
I'm honored to hear that, sir. It was the voice of a powerful man who held a great deal of authority in the administration of this game. The administrator spoke respectfully to his superior.
予想外の出来事が起きた時こそ私の腕の見せ所ですので、ここからさらにゲームを盛り上げていく所存です。
There's precisely times when unexpected events occur that allow me to show off my skills. I will make the game even more exciting from here on out.
ほう。しかしいくら君といえど、今回のゲームを完全にコントロールするのは、少々難しいのではないかね。
Oh, really? But no matter how skilled you are, do you not find it at least a little difficult to completely control this game?
何しろ今回のプレイヤーたちはいつにも増して癖が強い。それを制御しきるのは容易なことではないのでは？
After all, the players this time around have stronger idiosynchronicities than usual. It can't be easy to keep them all in check, can it?
いえいえ、所詮彼らはルールにとらわれた存在。いわばゲームの駒に過ぎません。
Oh, don't be ridiculous. In the end, they're bound to the rules. They're nothing more than the pawns in the game.
ゲームを盛り上げられるかどうかはあくまで我々指し手の力量によるものです。
In the end, it is us that holds all the power in determining whether the game gets exciting or not.
面白い意見だ。しかし、
An interesting opinion. However, it was then that the manager took a breath and continued in a low voice.
君、考えたことはないかね。自分の置かれた立場がどのようなものなのかと。
Have you never considered it? What kind of position you're in, that is.
ゲームのプレイヤーたちと君の間にどれほどの差異があるのかということを。
How much difference there really is between you and the players. I beg your pardon?
改めて見てみたまえ。君の周囲にあるもの。そこには何があるかね。
Take another look at what lies around you. What do you see? Not sure of what the manager was getting at, the administrator looked around the room. He saw monitors, walls, various control panels, and a surveillance camera that displayed him. The administrator was displayed in the monitor next to the camera. Sorry, the manager was displayed. He gave a meaningful smirk and continued.
もう一度よーく考 分が何者かということを。
Try giving it another close thought as to what you really are, that is.
それに気づいた時、君には別の役割が与えられるかもしれないのだよ。
Once you realize that, perhaps you will be given a different role.
別の役割。どういうことでしょうか。
A different role? What are you talking about?
答えは君自身が探したまえ。それもまたゲームの一環なのだ。
Search for the answer yourself. That's another element of the game. And with those final words, the manager's voice was cut off.
今のはどういう意味だ。
Huh? What was that about? Something was bugging him about those words, but he couldn't tell what it was. The man went back to his work, still unsatisfied as he wrestled with that thought. Day 7. At that time, he still hadn't determined the truth behind the odd sensation he'd gotten from the conversation. But the game went on without any heed to his feelings on the matter. And then the next day, on the night of seventh day, the administrator dozed off in front of the monitors and had a dream.
人殺しの血か。
The blood of a murderer, huh?
お前たちにも俺たちが流れていないことを祈っているよ。
I pray that you don't have that cursed blood flowing through your veins as well. It was a dream he'd had several times before.
俺にはどうやらその血が流れてたらしい。あの時何も感じなかったんだ。
It seems I have that blood flowing through me. After all, I felt nothing when it happened.
俺はその罪を受け入れ、せめてもの償いにやるべきことをやる。それが俺の選択だ。
I will accept my sin and do what I have to in order to atone for it. That's my choice.
そうだよな。
I see. That's right, isn't it?
じゃあお前はどうする？どういう生き方を選ぶ？
Well, in that case, what will you do? What way of life will you choose? There was no answer to that question. But instead, he heard a voice from somewhere.
聞こえるか？運営。
Can you hear me, Administrator?
聞こえないのか？それとももう俺たちの呼びかけには答えないつもりか？
Can you not hear me? Or do you not plan on answering us anymore? The man suddenly snapped awake and saw Shuhei and Haruna glaring at him from on the other side of the monitor. The memory in the dream vanished in the blink of an eye, and by this point, he could no longer remember what he'd been dreaming about.
ああ、失礼しました。少しまどろんでいたもので。
Oh, my apologies. I dozed off for a bit there. After the man covered up for himself, Shuhei snorted.
そりゃ眠くもなるだろうさ。 見てる側も退屈だろうしな、今回のゲームは。
Well, no wonder you got sleepy. You must be tired of watching this game.
そうでもありませんよ。
That is not true.
本当か？こんなゲーム、俺が客ならとうに飽きてる。
Really? If I were a customer, I would have gotten bored of this game a long time ago.
なあ、いつまで続けるつもりなんだ、こんな泥仕合を。
Hey, just how long do you plan to keep this, how long do you plan to keep this stalemate going on for? It seems Shuhei had come here of Harunda in order to, sorry, 1 second. Okay, it seemed like Shuhei had come here to directly talk with the administrator, along with Haruna, to see how to get this closed situation moving. This stalled situation. I swear. What a truly meaningless stunt. Talking will solve nothing here. The man thought that as he gave his usual answer.
いずれしかるべきと終了24時間前に通知します。
It will come eventually. You'll be notified 24 hours in advance. Naturally, Shuhei and Haruna didn't take kindly to that. But they already had it in stone what they would do to reply to players who ask questions like these. So the administrator just followed the manual and retorted back to Shuhei and Haruna. Everything you do is determined by us in the end. You do not determine your own behavioral principles. It is us, those who possess greater power, who decide that. Despite that, Shuhei still snapped back, and before long, the two of them quietly backed off.
もう行こう、周平。
Let's go, Shuhei. Yeah. The two said that, then tried to leave the conference room. But though his answers were straight out of the manual, something was bugging the administrator's heart. Not knowing why he was doing so, he called out to stop the two of them.
お待ちください。
Please wait. Shuhei and Haruna turned around with puzzled expressions.
なんだ、まだ何か話すことがあるのか。
What? You still have something to talk about?
失礼ですが、あなた方は兄弟でしたよ。
No. Pardon me, but the two of you are siblings, correct? Huh? It was the first time they received a question like that from the administrators. The man added on to his question as Shuhei and Haruna reeled in bewilderment.
確かずっと昔生き別れになったとか。
If I remember right, the two of you were separated a long time ago, yes?
ああ、その通りだ。それがどうかしたのか。
Yeah, that's right. What of it?
どうしてわざわざそんな確認を？運営なら 私たちの経歴も詳しく知ってるんじゃないの？
Why are you going out of your way to ask that? You're the administrators, so you should know all about our past, shouldn't you? Of course, the man knew that as well. Naturally, that information was written in the profiles, of the documents that the players' profiles were assembled from. When he heard the two of them say that, for some reason, the man's heart stirred. Shuhei and Haruna frowned on the other side of the monitor. What is it? Just what is it about the two of them? That was what the administrator thought. But he had a sensation that, that the two of them were connected to the answer to the question, to the riddle the manager had given him yesterday. I don't really understand what's going on here, but I'll try talking to him a little more. With that thought, the administrator talked to Shuhei and Haruna. No, never mind.
それよりせっかくいらっしゃったのですから、少しあなた方に情報を与えましょうか。
At any rate, since I have the two of you here right now, I'll let you in on some information.
情報？何のだ？
Information? What information?
今回選ばれた14名のプレイヤー、その選考基準について。
About how the 14 of you players were selected this time around. After that introduction, the man continued.
あなた方は不思議に思ったことはありませんか？
Do you not find it strange?
今回のゲームに参加したプレイヤーは互いの関係性が妙に強いと。
The players in this game, oddly enough, have some strong ties to each other.
関係性が強いって。
Strong ties to each other?
例えばまずあなた方です。あなた方は生き別れの兄弟でしょう。
For example, let's take you two. You're long-lost siblings, correct?
あるいはあなたとプレイヤーナンバー6キーシコトミ。手元の資料によるとあなた方は幼馴染同士だそうですね。
Or we can take you and player number 6, Kotomi Fukishi. According to our data, you two have been friends since childhood, have you not?
他にもゲーム開始前からすでに憎み合っている者や好意を寄せている者や知り合い同士などがあちこちに配置されています。
There are also other players who already had grudges against each other before the game began, who were already on good terms before the game began, or who happen to know one another.
確かに。
True.
でもそれのどこが不思議なの？
But what's so strange about that?
わかりませんか？これはかなり特別なことなのです。
You don't know? This is a very unique thing.
相互の関係があらかじめ構築されているということは互いに近しい関係であるということです。
Hold on a second. The fact that you all built up relationships beforehand means that you're close to one another, does it not?
同じ学校に通っていたり生活圏が同じだ。
Like how some of you go to the same schools, or how you live in the same areas.
しかしそれらのプレイヤーの大半はゲームの中で命を落とします。元の日常に帰ることは当然できません。
But the majority of those players will die in the game. Naturally, they won't be able to return to their ordinary lives.
するとゲーム終了後に何が起こるのか、確実にマスコミなどが騒ぐのです。学生集団失踪事件など。
And as for what will happen after this game, it will cause a certain stir in the media. The news will be all over the news of this mass student disappearance incident. Shuhei and Haruno's faces froze. They probably figured out what the man meant by how he's implying this time around the game was special. In other words, he meant
今回のゲームはいつもとは違うってことなのか。普通は同じ学校とかからプレイヤーが選ばれることはないと。
You mean this game is different from normal games? The players normally aren't chosen from the same schools and stuff like that?
はい。このゲームは幾度となく開催されていますが、基本的にプレイヤーの年齢、居住地などはランダムに選ばれます。
Correct. This game has been played many times, but basically, the players' ages and locations are all randomly selected.
年齢も居住地もバラバラの人間が14名失踪しても、誰もキーには感じません。
For 14 people of different ages and locations vanish, no one should make any connections.
この国では年間10万人の失踪者が発生しております。
About 100,000 people disappear in this nation every year.
しかし、同一地域から学生ばかりが同時に大勢消えたとなると話が違ってきます。
But however, that's a different story. If an entire group of students all up and vanish at the same time from the same region.
実際、すでに一部のジャーナリストが事態に気づき、騒ぎになっているのです。
As a matter of fact, some journalists have already noticed the connection. They're causing a stir.
もっとも、大手マスコミには我々の息がかかっておりますし、どこぞのライター風情が嗅ぎ回ったところで。
Though that said, we hold the media in our pocket for the most part. So it'll just be dismissed as some rambling conspiracy theory nonsense.
そのライターたちにも同じく失踪してもらうだけです。
All we have to do is ensure those writers also vanish.
とはいえリスクはあるんだろう。そのリスクを冒してまでなぜ関係性の強いメンツばかり集めたんだ。
But there's still a risk involved, isn't there? Why would you gather those who have strong ties to each other? Why would you... Hold on, sorry. Why would you go to such length to gather only people who have strong ties to each other, even if it means that, venturing through that risk?
今回のゲームはいわば特番だったからです。
Because this game is a special episode of sorts.
いつも同じような関係性の薄いプレイヤーばかりのゲームではいずれお客様に飽きられてしまいますから。
Because if we had nothing but games that had players who barely had any connection to each other, the customers would get bored of them eventually.
ファーストステージとセカンドステージの二重構造、それが最大限に機能するよう今回のプレイヤーは厳選されております。
The players this time around were carefully selected in order to make the most of the structure of the dual-laid structure of the first stage and second stage.
またこのゲームは日本各地で密かに行われておりますが、それぞれの会場で生き残ったリピーターが複数名投入されました。
Furthermore, this game is secretly conducted all across Japan, but several repeaters are mixed in amongst all those locations.
つまりリピーターは東堂優奈だけではないのですよ。 例えばそこにいるプレイヤーナンバー3など。
In other words, Unitoto isn't the only repeater there. For example, there's also player number 3. What? Shuhei gasped in surprise and looked at Haruna. Haruna's face went pale, and she was stunned into silence.
ちょっとあんた何を言ってるのよ。
Hey, what are you saying?
春菜、お前今の話本当なのか？
Haruna, is it true?
違うわ、嘘よ、こんなの嘘。上の言うことなんか信じないで。
No! He's lying! Don't trust the administrators!
おや、何も隠す必要はないではありませんか。
Who? Why hide it? Sorry, why feel the need to hide
あ
it?
なたは義理の家族を助けるためやむなくゲームに参加していたのでしょう。
Don't you have no other choice but to play this game in order to save your foster family? Haruna's face warped and she fell quiet. Shuhei shouted in confusion.
何なんだ？運営、お前どういうつもりなんだ？
What the hell? What are you trying to pull, administrator?
それって話しちゃまずい情報なんじゃないのか？
Isn't that dangerous information to be leaking?
これもゲームを盛り上げるためです。
This is also to make the game more exciting. The man said that and snorted. But that was an excuse. Even the administrator himself didn't know why he was running his mouth off like this. Hold on a second. However, there was a desire in him somewhere to expose the deceit between the two of them, out of a desire to see their true selves. Letting his instincts guide him, the man continued.
さて、話を続けましょう。あなた方の選考基準についてです。
No then. Allow me to continue. This concerns how you were selected.
相互の関係性が強いということ以外にも、あなた方が選ばれた理由は存在します。
There are other reasons besides your strong bonds with one another that you were chosen.
混沌タイプと秩序タイプ。相反する2種類のプレイヤーをミックスすることで、このゲームは大いに盛り上がるのです。
We have made this game more exciting by mixing in chaos type players and order type players.
混沌タイプと秩序タイプ。
Chaos type and order types?
そうです。まず、混沌側のプレイヤーとしては、
That's right. As for chaos type players,
粗暴な暴力主義者。
those who advocate for violence.
刹那的な快楽主義者。
Hedonists who seek momentary pleasures.
復讐心に燃える剣術
A swordsman burning with vengeance.
心のタガが外れた。
One who has lost all self-control of her heart.
次に秩序側のプレイヤーとしては
Now, as for the Order players,
理性的な博愛主義者
a rational philanthropist,
極度なまでの非暴力主義者
an extreme advocate of nonviolence,
感情より規範を優先する者
one who values rules over emotions,
殺人を忌避するリピーター
a repeater trying to prevent murder,
さらに双方の要素を併せ持つプレイヤーとしては
and then, as for players who mix in aspects of both,
独善的な天才
a self-righteous genius,
コンプレックスを持つ習性
a prodigy with inferiority complex,
孤独を抱えた格闘者
a fighter who lives in solitude,
そして追い詰められれば心が逆転しうる自我のあやふやな少女
and the girl with a fragile sense of self, whose heart will take a complete 180 if she is cornered.
それらのバラエティ豊かなプレイヤーを集めることでゲームを盛り上げようとしたのです
We try to make the game more exciting by assembling players of a wide variety like that.
俺たちは俺と春菜はどちらなんだ
Then what about us? Where are Haruna and I then?
プレイヤーナンバー3は言うまでもなく混沌側ですしかしあなたは
It goes without saying that player number 3 is a chaos type, but as for you... The man momentarily fell silent at the question. After thinking for a while, he answered,
今までは私も分かりませんでした
Up until now, I didn't understand myself. What?
実は今回のプレイヤーの中であなただけはどちらの種類のプレイヤーなのか分かりませんでした
Truth be told, out of all the players here now, you're the only one who I couldn't categorize.
しかしこうして話しているうちにようやく分かった気がします
I feel like I finally understood after talking to you now.
あなたがおそらく混沌側にいる人間だ
You're probably a chaos type.
俺が混沌側だと
I'm a chaos type? Shuhei and Haruna both gave puzzled looks to those words.
ちょっと待って。私はともかくとしてどうして周平が混沌側なの？
Hold on a minute. Myself aside, why would Shuhei be a chaos type?
周平はユーナと一緒にみんなをまとめようとしたのよ。
Shuhei tried to unite everyone along with Yuna.
確かにそうですねしかしなぜかそう思えるのです
Indeed, that is indeed true. But why does it seem that way?
なぜかって
Why?
納得いかないようですねでは藤田周平あなた自身はどう思うの
It seems you do not understand. Then what do you think, Shuhei Fujita?
自分自身の心に危険なものが隠れているとは思いませんか
Do you not believe there is nothing dangerous lurking in your heart? Shuhei couldn't deny those words. Shuhei didn't deny those words. It seemed the administrator hit the nail right on the head. But Shuhei spoke up as if to shake that off.
そんなものは言いがかりだ。
No, that's nonsense.
俺には確かに危ういところがあるかもしれない。だけど俺は変わりつつある。
It's true that I have some unstable aspects to myself, but I'm changing.
自分の行動原理は自ら書き換えることができるんだ。
I can rewrite my own behavioral patterns.
本当にそうでしょうか。
Is that really true?
ああ、押し付けられたルールに従うか否かも含め、人の行動原理はきっと変えられるはずだ。
Yeah. Whether they follow the rules that have been imposed on us or not, people can definitely change their behavioral patterns. Those words shook the administrator's heart. It was indeed true that the players this time around were slowly but surely changing when it came to their behavioral patterns and mentalities due to interaction with all the other players. Shuhei himself was changed after coming in contact with the other players, starting with Yuna. When he thought that, some sort of inexplicable emotion welled up in the man's heart. For some reason, it was quickly growing difficult to continue this conversation, and so he spoke up.
なるほど。ご検討を期待しますよ。
I see. Good luck to you.
私からは以上です。それでは引き続きゲームをお楽しみください。
That's it from me. Now then, please continue to enjoy the game. The man said then, completely cut off the conversation on his end.
おい!
Hey, wait! Shuhei frantically spoke up. Haruna spoke up with a suspicious look on her face.
何だったんだろ
What was that all about?
何のつもりなんだか。
I don't know. I have no idea what that was about. Shuhei and Haruna muttered that and looked at the speaker near the ceiling. And the customers who were watching that all began to stir up. The man could hear the customers' reactions to the monitors around him.
何だったのか今の会話は。
What was that all about?
ゲームを盛り上げるためと言っていたけど、ゲームの展開に関係あったとはあまり思えないわ。
You said it was going to make the game more exciting. I can't imagine it has anything to do with the game, how the game progresses.
これも何らかの思考の一つでしょうかね。
Perhaps this is another sort of tactic. The customers were just as bewildered as Shuhei and... Sorry, the customers were even more bewildered than Shuhei and Haruna. But the administrator himself was still bewildered. Day 8. And the next day, he had another dream.
じゃあお前はどうする？どういう生き方を選ぶ？
But then what will you do? What way of life will you choose? He still received no answer to that. But the man answered himself. All while being unaware... sorry. But the man came to his own answer. All being unaware of what future lay in store of him as a result of that. It's true, I swear! 14 people really were gathered there! They all had collars around their necks! No, that's not it! Why won't you believe me? Don't tell me. Do you work for them too? That was what the man had chosen for himself. But the path he believed in and chosen had led to a blood-stained life. The man jolted out of his chair. He looked around and found the same room as always. It seemed he'd fallen asleep while watching the monitors. The door of the room opened, and the man's subordinate ran in. What's wrong? I heard a scream. Huh? Oh, nothing. It seems I was just having a nightmare. He felt like he'd been having some sort of ominous dream, but could barely remember any of it. The administrator stood up and spoke in a tired voice. I'm gonna go get some air. Sorry, but please take over for a bit. Yes, sir. His burly subordinate, with a machine gun. Sorry, after telling his burly assistant with a machine gun that, the man left the room. He carried a pistol for self-defense. When he went out, he saw a peaceful beach stretched out. But in contrast to the tranquility, the man's heart was a storm. He'd been feeling this way ever since the manager gave him that mysterious riddle 2 days ago. Damn it. What the hell is this? That unease grew stronger every time he slept. He felt like it was due to the dreams he had each time. It's just a dream. Though he could only remember in fragments, it was an oddly vivid dream. He didn't know why he was having those dreams. Something like that should have never happened in his past. Those aren't my memories. They're someone else's memories. The man said that as if trying to convince himself over the truth. The man's past was sealed off in darkness. There were many points even he himself wasn't clear on. He felt like he'd only just woken up Sunday and been where he was. he could no longer remember how many years ago it had been, but one day he'd been given the role of game master and dealer by that manager from before. After that, he lived in accordance with that. Through the monitors, he watched the bloodstained games unfold over a long period of time. Once the game ended, he prepared for the next game, and once it began, he worked to make it more exciting. That was his job and his entire life. What about before that? What did I do before that? The man shifted through his memories. Before long, he saw himself before he became a game master. He had once participated in this game as a player. And as a repeater prepared by the administrators, he participated in many games afterwards. It wasn't just the game held on this island either. He also participated in a game held inside a giant facility, and a cruel game held on a blistering cold, snowy mountain. The man lived through those dozens of battles. But his body and mind were in tatters at the end of it all. He believed that once his role ended, the administrators would dispose of him. But once he'd been prepared for his own death, the manager said this to him.
このまま殺されることを選ぶかね。それとも新たな役割を与えられ、それに従い生きるかね。
Will you choose to die as you are now? Or will you accept a new role and continue to live in accordance with that? The man answered in a shaky voice when he was given that question.
生きたい。俺はまだ死ぬわけにはいかないんだ。
I want to live! I can't afford to die yet! His wish was granted. The management organization gave the injured man treatment and gave him his current role. That's right. That's why I was allowed to live. After retiring from the games, he was made to live by working as a game master instead. If he was let go from this role as well, he'd likely be killed off for real next time. It's because he understood that the man set himself apart from everything and worked hard to make the game exciting. No matter what tragedies unfold on the other side of the monitors, none of it stirred his heart. It was the same with the game that Yuna Todo and Akira Makioka had participated in a year ago. Even when Yuna had held Akira's corpse in her arms and cried, the man felt no sympathy. So why wasn't it in this game that his heart raged so?
今回が初めてだからか。ファーストステージのまま全プレイヤーがひとまとまりになったことが。
Perhaps because this is the first time all the players have been united during the first stage. He felt like he used to have a naive dream like that back when he'd also been a player participating in the games. But no matter how many times he wished that, his wish never came true. No matter how much they all wished to live together, the players' ties were all severed by the cruel rules. And in the end, they betrayed each other, shot each other, and killed each other. The man had seen that many a time, over and over again.
そううまくいくわけがないんだ。所詮はゲームの駒なんだからな。
It won't go that well. In the end, they're pawns of the game. As he was now, the man could understand just how naive their the players' mindsets were in this game. He felt extremely unpleasant, as if he were looking at his past self. The manager had probably said the same thing as well. The players this time around can't escape the rules. Just like how you were a pawn in the games in the past. The manager must have been trying to tell him that. And harsh as it was, that was reality, plain and simple. Eventually, the man spoke off as if to shake off the uneasiness in his heart.
仕事に戻るか。
Guess I'll go back to work. All he needed to do was wait another half day, and the results of the extra game would come through. The player with the lowest amount of bets on them would be killed, and the tragedy will unfold again. And it was his current role to create the trigger for it all. With that thought, the man turned around and returned to his workplace. Day 9. And then, the fated day arrived. It was the 9th day since the start of the game. All sorts of new developments had taken place since this morning. Kurokawa finally accepted Yui, and the others around them celebrated that as well. And they also finally completed the radio wave absorber. They only managed to complete 2 radio wave absorbers. They weren't sure if they'd work, but the players had decided seemed to have decided to bet everything on that. Let's go, Shu. Yeah, I'm counting on you. Komi used Hitomi's PDA and sent an email to Shuhei's PDA covered in the radio wave absorber. The other 12 watched this with bated breath. But Shuhei's PDA received no email.
しゅうちゃん
成功だ。
It worked.
やったぞ。みんな成功だ。
We did it! It worked, guys! Everyone's faces were lit with joy. Everyone smiled and shook each other's hands and took each other's hands. But the administrator was watching them through the CCTV cameras built into the players' collars. It was pointless for the group to try to avoid or destroy the security surveillance cameras. The administrators and the players, the administrators and the customers all saw that.
さあ皆様、いよいよ運命の時がやってまいりました。
Now then, ladies and gentlemen, the fated time has finally arrived. The man turned to the customers and smiled. He suppressed the uneasiness he'd been feeling up until yesterday into the depths of his heart and put his all into fulfilling his role.
希望が見えたところで、それが儚く砕け散る。それこそが悲劇をより深くする要素です。
For a speck of hope to appear, only to completely shatter and fall apart. That is a factor that makes such strategies even more effective.
せっかく脱出の道が見えたところで、彼らの望みは叶いません。
Just when they thought they'd found a way out, their dreams will be shattered.
なぜなら今宵、最初の死者が出て、彼らはセカンドステージに突入するのですから。
As for why, it is because tonight, the first victim will appear, and the second stage will begin. The customers cheered when they heard his rousing speech. The excitement had reached its peak in the area.
それで最初の死者となるプレイヤーは結局誰が選ばれたのかね。
So then, in the end, who was chosen as the first victim?
はい、皆様の掛け金が最も少なかった不幸なプレイヤーは
Right. The unfortunate player who had the least amount of bets from everyone was
プレイヤーナンバー5、荻原結衣。
player number 5, Yui Ogihara.
残念ながら彼女にはゲームを盛り上げるための尊い犠牲となっていただきます。
No, not Mitsuru. Unfortunately for her, she'll be a noble sacrifice to make this game more exciting. There was some voiceless lament around with those words.
なんとも悲しいわね。彼女はようやくプレイヤーナンバー8の心を溶かしたというのに。
How sad. And just when she'd finally managed to melt player number 8's heart.
いや、だからこそより深いドラマが展開するのだよ。おそらくナンバー5が殺されれば、ナンバー8は復讐期と化すだろう。
No, actually. That's will make the drama even more effective. It's likely that if player number 5 is killed, player number 8 will seek vengeance.
それでどうやって彼女を死に至らしめるのかね。
So tell us, how exactly will she die?
その方法についても我々は熟慮検討いたしました。 ここは一つリピーターである彼女に働いていただきましょう。
We've considered this matter carefully ourselves. As for how, we'll make use of one of the repeaters.
プレイヤーナンバー2粕谷瞳。まず彼女にリピーターズコードと称したメールを送ります。
Player number 2, Hitomi Kasuya. First, we will send a repeater's code email to her.
メールの内容は以前も申し上げた通り、6時間以内にナンバー5を殺害するか全員死亡するか選べという。
As I've told you before, the details of the email will read, decide where to kill player number 5 within 6 hours, or let all the other players die.
彼女は当然ながらナンバー5を殺すでしょう。しかしそれだけでは止まりません。
Naturally, she'll choose to kill number 5. But it won't just end there.
さらにゲームを盛り上げるため、他のリピーターたちにもリピーターズコードを次々に送ります。
To make the game even more exciting after that, we'll be sending repeaters codes to the other repeaters as well.
そうすることによって殺し合いは加速し、ゲームは一気にクライマックスへと突き進んでいきます。
By doing that, the killing will accelerate, and the game will head to its climax all at once.
この長丁場のゲームをここまで見てくださったお客様方にもきっとご満足いただける内容になるでしょう。
We are sure this will please you, all you customers who have watched this long game unfold.
セカンドステージのタイムリミットはわずか24時間。これからゲーム終了まで目が離せませんよ。
There will only be the second stage's time limit will be a mere 24 hours. You won't be able to take your eyes off the screen until the game ends.
さあ皆様、当ゲーム史上に残る悲劇をどうぞご覧くださいませ。
Now, ladies and gentlemen, watch as the greatest tragedy in this game's history unfolds. The customers all clapped after he finished. The man took a breath, removed the microphone, and looked at the monitors. Back at the camera was showing Hitomi. She was completely relieved that the radio wave absorber had been completed. The administrator looked at her with a thin smirk on his face. Sorry. Oh, sorry, misread that. The administrator stared at her as she smiled. Hitomi Kasuya. She's already been through so much, and yet she'll be crushed even more. The administrator knew her very well. No, anyone involved in the administrations knew her. Administrator knew her. She had participated in a number of games up until now, and won all of them. But that wasn't the only reason. It's because unlike all the other players participating in this game, she was from the organization. Well, it is questionable whether she's actually aware of that or not, though. Alright, sorry, back now. Several years ago, she'd been kidnapped and confined by a man and forced into a gruesome lifestyle. The culprit was a former player of the game. After he'd survived the game, his sense of morals had completely snapped. Leading him to commit all these bizarre and grotesque incidents. To clean up after their mess, the administrators found the man and had him eliminated. They took Hitomi in when that happened. By then, hold on a second. Sorry, by then, she had no memory of her actions due to severe mental trauma. It was then that the administrator gave her treatment. Hold on a second. Alright, sorry, it was then the organization gave her treatment using a special drug that caused mental effects. Thanks to that, her trauma was cleared, but once the treatment was over, she had lost her original memories and personality. Alright, sorry, here I go again. After the treatment was over, she lost her original personality and memories, and indulged herself in her own little world. The girl she turned into was raised by the organization after that. They gave her combat training, raising her into a serial killer with a severely shattered sense of morals. And by making her participate in the games, they made things more exciting. Hitomi was in other words, Hitomi was a pure pawn of the game created by the organization. She might be just like me. In fact, the man in Hitomi's past were extremely similar. Histories were extremely similar. All that was different were their positions. He was a game master, while she was a player. Well, that difference was absolute. And so the administrator, while she told me his actions to the monitors, waited until she was all alone, and sent the email. Repeater's code. Kill player number 5, Yui Ogihara, within 6 hours. Furthermore, in the event that this condition is not fulfilled, all players' collars will detonate and they shall die. A weapon to accomplish this task has been prepared in Area 4. Check the map for details. For reference. That message was sent to her PDA. Her face froze up. Her face clearly froze up on the other side of the monitor. Huh? What is this? Hitomi looked around in fear. She stood rooted in place after looking around for a while. The man watched her actions with a hint of nervousness, with a hint of tension. Will she really obey this email? Isn't there a slight chance she might go to Shuhei and the others for help? If that happened, then the plan the administrators came up with would fall apart, and the game would fall into a lull. That would be extremely bad. But it seems she understood her own fate through her experiences of participating in many games up till now. If that's what the administrators want, then I can't defy them. That was an absolute carved into Hitomi's purpose as a pawn. One that remained for her despite her attempting to regain her original personality and memories. I have to hurry. Before long, Hitomi made up her mind and snuck around when no one else was watching. During the day, the administrators had secretly, she heads for the weapon the administrators had secretly set up during the day. Also, she could kill Yui and save everyone else. When he watched Hitomi diligently accept the role she was given, the man felt rather mixed about it. Well, I suppose this was only to be expected. The man felt a mix of relief and despair. No, not despair, disappointment. In the end, a pawn was nothing more than a pawn. It couldn't deviate from the role it was given. Just like himself. Now then, things are about to get busy. The man said that, and glanced down at his PC. If the second stage were to begin immediately after Hitomi killed Yui, then it would be extremely obvious who had killed Yui. So he had to rework the system in order to delay the second stage for a few hours after Hitomi was killed. Yui was killed. And while he was at it, he made some changes to the specifications of Haruna's PDA. Normally, her PDA was designed so that once the second stage began, she would be given a list of targets she had to kill during the second stage. But if she received that information on her PDA, she'd quickly be able to figure out who killed Yui. Therefore, for this time and this time alone, they would not give her that list. Much like how they stopped sending her special function player encounter information. Furthermore, he would probably have to erase the camera footage in the monitor room. When all those elements combined, it would fuel the flames of doubt amongst the group. This was all rather, all these steps were rather against the administrator's rules and policies, but the customers had already accepted them this time around. They would all turn a blind eye of him and making the game more exciting. In the meantime, Hitomi found the weapon needed for killing Yui. What she found was a chainsaw and a sheathed knife. After thinking for a little bit, Hitomi took the knife. Hitomi gripped the knife with a nervous look on her face. All that was left was waiting to get Yui alone and kill her, and then the game would get moving. Would finally get moving. Or maybe she'd hesitate until the very last second of the time limit and kill Yui right in front of Shuhei and Kurokawa. That would still be interesting in its own right. Kurokawa would be filled with desire for revenge. Shuhei would try to protect Hitomi, and then a bloodbath would likely play out. Now then, number 2. Which will you choose? The man said that and watched the monitors. Before long, Hitomi took her PDA out of her pocket and fiddled around with it. I see. So she's planning on calling number 5 out by sending an email. He thought Hitomi had completely regressed to a child's state of mind, but seems her killing instincts were still as sharp as ever. Once Yui died, her PDA will be rendered unusable, meaning that no one will be able to check the details of the email. Shuhei and the others will be completely unaware of Hitomi's sabotage of trickery. Before long, Hitomi finished typing the email and waited in the darkness. Just then, Yui left her house.
なんだろう。ひとみさんが私に
What could this all be about? What's so important that Hitomi wants to talk to me about? It seems Hitomi had sent a message along those lines in order to lure Yui out. And Yui, who didn't doubt her comrades a bit, completely fell for it, hook, line, sinker.
私一人で15エリアまで来てって。15エリアってこっちだったっけ？
Alright, sorry, back. She told me to come to Area 15 all by myself. Area 15 was this way, right? Yui muttered that and left the village. Yui entered the forest. Hitomi, who was waiting in the darkness, quickly spotted her. She then hid a knife behind her and approached Yui. Oh, Hitomi! What's so important that you wanted to talk to me about? Hitomi didn't answer and approached Yui. Now kill her! Fill your role as a pawn and fulfill your duty! The man said that and stared at the monitors. Hitomi then faced off against Yui. I'm sorry. And said that, and with that, raised the knife and plunged it toward Yui's chest. Stop, Hitomi! Yui, look out! Just before Hitomi could plunge the knife in, voices called out from somewhere. Huh? Hitomi and Yui both turned around in surprise. They saw Shuhei and Kotomi running right toward them. What the hell? The man shouted at this unexpected turn of events. Shuhei Fujita grabbed Hitomi, who was still holding the knife. What do you think you're doing with that, Hitomi? Are you trying to kill Yui? Hitomi and Yui spoke up in surprise. Mom! Dad! Why? Huh? What is this? What's going on here? We didn't see Hitomi, so we went around looking for her. Figured if the administrator was going to try, pull had set something up, they probably would try to pull it off right now. What do you mean by that? Something's been bugging me this whole time. There's no way they wouldn't have noticed what we were up to. So I figured if they were going to try and intervene with our, So I figured that they tried to intervene with the game by force when escape was right in front of us. Shuhei said that and stared at Hitomi. Hold on a second. Normally, Shuhei wouldn't have been that attentive. But there was something that caused him to start thinking this way. Those doubts had arisen after his conversation with... after his and Haruna's conversation with the administrator man on 2 days ago. You remember what happened in the central control facility on that day? He recalled what happened after they left the central control facility that day. After they talked to the administrator, Shuhei and Haruna had the following conversation. Still, Haruna, you're really a repeater? After he asked that, Haruna paused, hesitated for a while, and then resigned herself and answered, "That's right."
本来なら話しちゃいけない決まりなんだけど、運営のお許しが出たようだから全て話すわ。
Normally, I wouldn't be allowed to talk about this, but it seems the administrator's given the okay, so I'll tell you everything.
私がどんな人間なのか、どうして瞳が私を悪い人と呼んだのか。
I'll tell you about what kind of person I am, and why Hitomi called me a bad person. After that, she told Shuhei about how she participates in many games and her reasons for it. The host Otanis were in a state of bankruptcy. Were close to a state of bankruptcy. She needed how she needed a lot of money in order to save her family. And how she became a repeater in order to earn the prize money in order to make that happen. Shuhei couldn't hide his shock when he heard that. He also faintly understood why Haruna was so used to treating wounds. It was probably because she'd gotten hurt many times over the course of these games and treated her own wounds. And also that how she'd likely hurt even more people and killed them. I'm the worst there is. Go ahead. Criticize me all you want. Haruna hung her head when she said that, her face on the verge of tears. That was why Shuhei said the following. Haruna, the path you've chosen is by no means commendable. But if you regret your sins from the bottom of your heart, then I'll forgive you, even if everyone else in the world rejects you. Taken aback, Haruna stared at Shuhei. A pained smile rose on her face. Don't you think that's a little too naive? I'm a killer who's killed many for money, you know that? Then what are we supposed to do? Do you think it'd make me happy if you told me you planned on dying in order to atone for your sins? There's no way you could say that. There's no way I could say that to you.
過去にどんな罪を犯そうと、それを償う方法はきっと何かあるはずだ。
No matter what crimes you committed in the past, there must be a way to make up for them.
少なくとも俺はそう信じてる。
At the very least, that's what I believe. Haruna hung her head again. She then spoke up in a faint voice. Thank you, big brother. And after that, Shuhei and Haruna bore everything and talked to each other about what sort of situation they found themselves that they were in. The administrator's intentions and the means in which they intend to achieve them. And thanks to the information he obtained from Haruna, they discovered that there were CCD cameras built into their collars. Hold on a second. In that case, it was likely that they'd be able to find out even if they tried to communicate by writing. So Shuhei and Haruna put their heads close together and talked while whispering into each other's ears. In voices small enough so that they wouldn't be picked up by the microphones built into their collars.
私は実のところ、もし電波吸収体が感染しても脱出が叶うとは思えない。
Hey, big brother, to tell you the truth, I don't think we'll be able to escape even if we complete the radio wave absorbers.
なぜそう
What? Why do you think that?
そんなに甘い奴らじゃないわ。おそらく私たちが電波吸収体を作ろうとしていることももうにバレてる。
The administrators aren't that naive. It's likely they've already figured out that we're trying to make the radio wave absorbers.
それでも向こうがそれを看過しているのはそれが脱出の決め手にはならないっていう詳細。
And the fact that they haven't intervened in spite of that is proof that they don't think that it's possible for us to escape that way. I see. Sad as it was to say, it was a realistic opinion. But Shuhei spoke again. In that case, what are the administrators planning to do?
俺たちが脱出に失敗したとしてそれでゲームが動くわけじゃない。
Even if we fail to escape, they won't get the ball rolling on the game. That'd be a problem for them, wouldn't it?
それが妙なのにゲームが盛り上がってくれなきゃ先に飽きられてしまうはずなの。
Yeah, that's strange. Even though the customers will get bored if they don't make the game, unless they can make the game more exciting.
もしかして連中ゲームにそろそろ介入しようと思ってるのかな。
Perhaps they're planning on intervening with the game sooner or later. Intervening? Those words bugged Shuhei. When he thought about it, the administrators can intervene with the game whenever they want. So why was it that they hadn't? Is it possible for the administrators to intervene in the game to make the players to promote the players killing each other? You think?
それはないと思う。このゲームを見ている客たちはどのプレイヤーが生き残るかかけているもの。
Oh, sorry, I misread that. You think the administrators are planning on intervening in the game and killing several of the players? I don't think so. The customers watching this game are betting on who lives.
もし運営が勝手にプレイヤーを殺したりすればそのプレイヤーにかけた客が怒ると思う。
If the administrators just killed whoever they please, and I think the customers who bet on that player would be angry.
比較的過激な扱いでゲームの売り上げを犠牲にすると言ってました。
What if they decide to sacrifice a player who has relatively low money bet on them?
可能性はないではないけどそんな乱暴なやり方じゃやっぱり客は納得しない気がする。
That's not out of the question. I think such a violent method like that would make I don't think the customers would agree with such a violent method. I see. Shuhei then considered the administrator and customers' positions. We try to consider what their malicious thoughts were intent to how they would you consider what those people with malicious thoughts were trying to do with trying to make them do using them. The administrator man's behavioral pattern was said the administrator man said his behavioral pattern was to make the game more exciting. In that case, just as Haruna said, it was hard to believe that the administrators would kill a player directly. If the administrators really felt like it, they could just freely detonate the player's cars whenever they felt like it. But that wouldn't make the game more exciting. If one of the player's collars suddenly blew up, the survivors would easily figure out that the administrators should intervene in order to move the game along. In that case, the players' angers would be directed to the administrators, and then no killing would begin. That wouldn't make for an interesting game. Meaning that if the administrators were to intervene, it wouldn't be through any direct methods. For example, what if they send email to control a player? An email? Haruna's eyes widened. That was right. The administrators had done the same thing before. There's a high possibility they sent an email to a player, like they had with that R code they had sent to get Yuna moving. Haruna, there's nothing more than a guess of mine. But if you get an email from the administrators, come and tell me right away. Right. Haruna nodded firmly. And after that, Shuhei kept an eye on all the other players. Constantly kept an eye on all the other players to watch out for any unusual actions. Haruna told him about the monitor room. And from there, he learned that there were no players who had suddenly started to act strangely. All in the meantime, they worked on building the railway absorber. Despite what Haruna had told them, they had no other hope. And once they had completed them, the administrators intervened, just as they had expected. Hold on 1 second. Alright, here we go. With partial conviction, Shuhei asked the frightened Hitomi a question.
一つ聞かせてくれ。
Hitomi, tell me something.
運営から妙なメールが送られてきてはいないか。
Did you get a strange email from the administrators? He couldn't think of any other reason why Hitomi would try to kill Yui. Hitomi answered in a faint voice.
そんなの送られてきてないよ。
No! I didn't get any email like that!
怒らないから正直に言ってくれ。この先、このゲームがどう動くかの瀬戸際なんだ。
I won't get mad, so please answer me honestly. How the rest of this game plays out rides on this. Shuhei pressed Hitomi and stared at her.
頼む瞳。そのメールによって瞳が今どんな立場に置かれていたとしても、俺はお前の側に立つ。
Please, Hitomi. No matter what situation that email may have put you in right now, I'm on your side.
だから俺を信じて PDA を見せてくれ。
So trust me and show your PDA. Shuhei asked her as sincerely and kindly as possible. Kotomi and Yui were also talking.
瞳、私たちは何があっても瞳の味方だよ。
Hey, Hitomi. No matter what happens, we're on your side, alright?
あ、私は状況がよくわからないですけど、も
I don't really know what's going on here.
し上から命令されて、それで仕方なく私を殺そうとしたんだったら、瞳さんのことは許します。
But if the administrators ordered you to try to kill me and you had no other choice, then I forgive you. Before long, Hitomi's face warped, and then she resigned herself.
ごめんなさい。送られてきてた。
I'm sorry. I got an email. Hitomi said that and took out her PDA. Everyone ran over to Hitomi and looked at the screen. The message written there was... Okay, yeah, same repeater's code. We should all know what it says by now. The group's face went stiff when they saw the email. Because of that, they understood painfully well why Hitomi tried to kill Yui when she was on her way, when she was already on her way back to sanity.
なんですかこれ。どうして私がで。
What is this? Why was I singled out? Yui shouted in surprise, and Shuhei answered in a low voice.
おそらくゲームを盛り上げるための犠牲になれってことなんだろう。
probably saying you were to be a sacrifice to make this game more exciting.
運営は自ら手を下さずプレイヤーに手を下させることで俺たちの殺し合いを加速しようとしたんだ。
Without moving a finger themselves, the administrators are trying to make the players act in order to promote killing amongst us.
ひどい。こんなの選択の余地なんかないじゃない。
This is terrible! What choice would she have? What other choice would she have?
ゆいちゃん、ごめんなさい。瞳、どうしていいかわからなくて。
I'm sorry, Yui. I didn't know what to do. Yui gave the apologizing Hitomi a stiff smile.
いや、正直危なかったって感じですけど、死なずに済んだならいいですよ。
No, honestly, I did feel like it was a close call, but it's all right since I didn't die in the end.
悪いのはひとみさんじゃない。運営の人たちです。そう思うことにします。
It's not your fault. It's the administrators. Yeah, that's what I believe. Even the kind-hearted Yui, was still stiff with fear, it seemed. But just as she said, it was a godsend that they noticed before someone had died.
どうしよう、しゅうちゃん。タイムリミットが迫ってるよ。
But what do we do, Shu? The time limit's approaching.
がとにかくみんなにこのことを伝えよう。
I don't know, but anyway, we need to tell everyone. Shuhei said that, then ran off with Kotomi and the others. Okay, this might not be the best point for it, but I think I'm going to end the stream here. Just ran out of time. So yeah, landing on a bit of a cliffhanger this time, but as we can see, episode D's different natures because it's an altered version of episode C, it seems to be, which is why it's different from the other routes. So we'll just have to see how the rest of it plays out after this. But until next time, I'll see you all later.